3, 2, 1, action together.
3, 2, 1, action and jazz hands.
We are live. We are ready. We are on fire. Here we go.
Here we go. All right. So we are connecting with the soulfully abundant entrepreneurs and the Akashic Academy today. So welcome if you are joining us from either of those places or you have found your way from some other portal. You're in the right place. My name is Emily Harrison. This is Jessica Page. You're in for something very, very special and important today. So Jessica and I are both thought leaders on the cutting edge of bringing in cosmic consciousness and figuring out what does that mean to play with those energies in real life, in the 3D. We are both the head of movements happening here on the planet, thought movements, movements of stepping into soul-led entrepreneurship, movements of consciousness and tapping universal intelligence. And it's so fun to be a human, but having this epic experience and then get to meet other people who are doing also epic work, making huge impacts here on the planet. So you're kind of behind the scenes watching Miss Jessica and I get to know each other. So Jessica, I'll be quiet for a second. I'll turn it over to you and we can bring our fans and followers and fellow seekers and visionaries into this beautiful friendship that's evolving.
Yes, I love it so much. So both Emily and I have this belief of this or better. Yes. And so both really desiring to how can we create ease with this thing, whatever that thing is. So this thing is we met, we deeply connected, we adore each other in business and in life. And so we're like, okay, cool. As we get to know each other and learn from each other, like how can we take that, which in real live time would be, hey Emily, do you want to come over into my group and really share your genius in that space? And Emily saying, hey Jessica, do you want to come over into my space and share your genius in that space? And that fused into, hey, how about we do it at the same time in 2 places and we time hack that shit and we show up and we get to know each other at the same time. So that is what is up. We're so pumped. And I want to introduce Emily, beloved, beautiful Emily. After becoming a certified Akashic Records practitioner in 2015, Emily's life has shifted dramatically, leaving behind a career in Hollywood. So we kind of joked about that in the beginning, saying 3, 2, 1, action. Hollywood vibes. She created a healing business that includes teaching, speaking, and mentoring others to manage their personal energy and advance their intuition to heal their bodies and minds and unlock access to infinite intelligence. And she's the founder and director of the Akashic Academy, a modern-day mystery school dedicated to sharing knowledge that is changing the planet.
So fun. Welcome to my life. I love my life. It is one thing that we have in common is that we both created our own jobs. And it is my privilege and pleasure now to introduce you, my dear friend, Jessica. Jessica Page is an intuitive business coach who has cracked the code to connecting between inner growth and long-lasting, abundant success in business. She has committed to helping entrepreneurs from around the world break free of the grind. Boy, does she do this too. I'm going to give you my personal insight on Jessica in just a minute after her great bio. But to be free of the grind and live a total life of freedom, Jessica lovingly guides her students from vision and purpose all the way through flow-based living and conscious business mastery. The girl does it too, I have to tell you. One of the beautiful things that has evolved in this friendship is the ability to be flexible. And we've meant to connect many times and things have come up along the way. And it was so fun last time for me personally because you're like, Emily, I know we're supposed to connect today, but I have this thing I'm doing now and I wasn't doing it when we scheduled it. It's this challenge. And like, I so know how that happens. But I had caught Jessica on that, a little blip of her challenge that morning on Facebook Live. So I decided to go back and watch. And this woman, I'll just speak to you directly. Again, you blew my mind. The conciseness of how you delivered wisdom, the practicality of applying it, you give such great examples. You give like a potent piece of information and then a tremendous example. You hold people in a really high level of energy shift. Like, she basically is like, let me show you how to look at this. I know you're looking at starting your own business and how it looks like this, but let me show you, like, look at it like this. And all of a sudden you grow into this giant version of yourself just by being in your frequency. And I think that is so, so important on the planet right now. Entrepreneurs and storytellers are who change the planet. It's not the leaders. It's truly, and I have a past in Hollywood. We are so influenced by what we see in the media, whether it's real life happening or it's the movies. We get desensitized to violence. We open up our mind to new ideas through what we see. And entrepreneurs change the planet because they create services, programs, experiences for the human collective to dive into that really shape and form who we are as a society. And Jessica does it like a master, I have to say.
I so appreciate you, and thank you, thank you, thank you. I fully receive, sister.
So I have a question for you. You show up to such an amazing high level in your mission of coaching entrepreneurs and helping them extract their genius and put it into a container. But you're also a mom, you're a wife, you're an amazing human on the planet. Like, what are your behind the scenes secrets to how do you show up energetically so that you can be that person every day? Because I know that you are. You're such a role model. I love you.
I think the biggest thing, and this is happening like live time right now because I'm in a launch, like have this program, it all revolved around the 5-day. So I love that you share that. I'm like, we're kind of scheduled for this thing, but I have this thing that I didn't have. And so being able to totally flow. But so I'm in this like launch mode, like, entrepreneurs go in and out of. And, I think sometimes even myself can get caught up in the tactic and the strategy and all of the things that we could do. But for me, like staying in a higher frequency, playing at a different game and being a magnet to attract people, the one thing, like, and this is like my theme and essence of what I'm reminding myself of today and all week and just in general, is that I get to show up and play in laughter. Like, I know that I tap into wealth codes and I tap into freedom whenever I show up and play in laughter. And it's built into my abundant soul purpose. So for me, it's like, how can I infuse play and laughter into my day, into my week? And when I do that, like, that's my number one, like, hack at how I'm able to show up the way I show up.
How'd you boil it down to play, laughter, and then freedom? Like, those are huge. Play and freedom. How did you find those two pieces of essence? Because if we can find those things, why can't we, like, you guys, I'm not asking myself this right now. Why can't I just ask myself that every single day and create that alignment and invite it in?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of a process of connecting to the depths of, like, who you are at the core. And so there's a lot of modalities that do that. There's human design, there's astrology, obviously Akashic Records is huge. So I want to go into that a bit. But for me, I call it the abundant soul purpose. And so it starts more higher level, sort of like, what are my key talents? And a lot of them are like shadows, like disowned parts of us, or parts of us that we take for granted. So it's unearthing those things and then going into the depths of core value. And then through this beautiful unraveling process, actually knowing and embodying what is our abundant soul purpose. So I think a lot of times people will say, like, this is my statement, this is who I want to help. It's more 3D. And so where I took myself and where I like to take my clients is, like, what is your 5D abundant soul purpose? And that's it. Like, I literally have it. If I could turn me all the way over, I've got everything plugged in. So hold on. So, like, it's right here. That's my full abundance, my abundant purpose. As a beacon of love and truth, I lovingly, energetically, and intuitively guide my students to their ultimate life of freedom through play and laughter. And I'm literally able to run everything through that. Like, is this fun?
Yes.
Does this bring me playfulness? And if it doesn't, then I know it's not for me and it's not going to magnetize what I desire.
So good. That was a big shift that I took away from your challenge personally, as I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in learning how to be an entrepreneur and how to do these things. And there are certain trends, just like everywhere else in life, there are certain trends. And there's this trend in business that you broke on day one, as far as I'm concerned. There's that trend of saying, like, who you help and what you help them do and what, and then you bring in this idea of checking in with it from the 5D perspective. And who am I at the core, and how do I like to show up and create transformation? That was really, really powerful and cutting edge. I haven't seen that. That was the, like I said, first time I've seen that.
Yay. I love it. Well, okay, so I want to flip it.
Okay.
And I want to ask you some questions. So, like, I know that you are one too that's really able to bring a 3D element and a 5D element to life and to business, and like rewriting codes, and so we can really understand that and do that. And so I would love for you to speak into that and the work that you do in the world around that.
Yes. Well, what I'm working with right now in the now moment is our lives are just so beautifully synchronous. One of the reasons why, when you said, oh, I have this that wasn't there before, but it's there now, like this inspired project, I've had that happen before, but then I'm in it right now to myself. And what's so alive for me right now is assimilating pieces of bits that my guides have dropped into my field through the Akashic Records that happened recently when I was in Sedona. So just to give you guys a little background of what I do, my area of expertise is in the Akashic Records, which is a realm of consciousness where all information, every detail of past, present, all possible futures for everybody, everything, every relationship, every business, everything, it's like the Google of the universe, right, is stored in this field of consciousness from a neutral perspective. So not the same way that we have experienced whatever's been recorded up there, but from the perspective of unconditional love and zero judgment. And when we learn to tap into this field of infinite knowledge, we can download instantaneously answers to why we're karmically stuck, answers of how to get out of that, answers around our mission, figuring out who we are, what we're here to do on the planet. We can tap into this realm and ignite genius creativity, which yes, every person has. And we can begin to bring in new techniques, like Jessica's bringing in for business and helping entrepreneurs. We can bring in new technology, new medicine, new structure. This is what it means to stand in that level of confident creativity. And the Akashic Records, when you have access to all information from this neutral perspective, you become very, very powerful in your life. Now, there's a self-purification process that one must undergo to really get access. And that is collapsing your karma, self-course correcting, loving yourself unconditionally. When you can truly love yourself unconditionally, you can love everyone else around you unconditionally, and you can be safe with this kind of wand. But before you love yourself, you don't get these powerful kinds of wands that allow you to have this level of access and command over our physical reality. So I teach people just, how to access that realm and change their life with.
That's all, that little
That's
thing.
all I do, And I'm like you, there's a spirit of fun and playfulness. And another core aspect of me is I must be out in nature.
Yes.
Gotta be like, I'm a teacher at my core, and we got to take field trips is what I'm saying. So as I began to have a quantum upleap, I decided I want to create retreat adventures where I get the premier guide, the VIP guide who can take us into vortexes and help hold the frequency for a magical experience, bring very high level conscious individuals who are soul searching and inviting this kind of revelation in their life into literal sacred vortexes. And so Sedona was the last one that I was in with my tribe. And I start getting, like, I'm teaching the Akashic Records and being on stage, which I love to do, and then taking them out into the vortexes. But my guides are dropping things in my field, right, left, center as well. And they began to illuminate my awareness to the karmic cycle, the rebirth that we're experiencing as humanity right now. And if you go back to our primordial story of Adam and Eve eating from the tree of knowledge, and they told her she was not supposed to do that yet, which we're living in a zone of contrast, right? And in order to truly know ourselves, we have to unknow ourselves first. And we need to go through the process of waking back up to who we truly are. So I don't necessarily think that that was a bad thing. It's just what happened during that time, the idea of shame and suppression coming around who we truly were. It gave us this beautiful opportunity to learn and wake up to who we are. But as we recycle back through that timeline again, we're in a huge zone of rebirth, of reinvention now. What if that code were rewritten? And what if knowing the truth of who we are and having that knowledge dropped into our field at this time was invited and encouraged rather than us being shamed for this? And in the space of the Akashic Records, since we can move forward and backward through time, I've been playing with what does it look like to create a system where people can rewrite those codes for themselves in humanity, because the memory of what we've experienced personally and collectively, it gets lodged in the cells, the soft tissue of our body. So what if we could learn to tap into the realm of information and actually rewrite this through our genetic code so that we had the capacity to tune in and understand the truth of who we were? And so I just did that. I just created a little manifesto that people can download and begin to open their consciousness to how this process works of getting to know the truth of who you are.
So good. Yes, yes. And I think often that when we're on this journey, there is such a deep level of like unlearning, unknowing, because there's all of these, like everything, whether you want to call it code or story or belief, like it's all things you've taken in from society, from our parents, from genetic makeup, whatever you want to call it, but it's all things that we've taken in. And to know that, like, with clarity, there's these simple steps, there's that process you can move through to recode, to rewrite, and it's pretty powerful. Like, and to know that it's not you or it's not just I, like we all have access to the same things that we have access to. Like, we all have the inner wisdom, it's just tapping in and embodying that.
Yeah, it's learning to cultivate the muscles that allow you to communicate with this level of wisdom and knowledge. I mean, like, we're all psychic. It's important that we learn to turn on our psychic skills, our intuitive skills, so that we can exchange information with the field at a more conscious level. We're doing it anyway. We're just doing it unconsciously.
Yeah. Agreed. I'm getting an intuitive hit to ask you like a really simple question. So in our effort to like know each other on a personal level, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
I didn't have breakfast this morning.
Are you fasting?
I tend to, my body naturally does intermittent fasting. So I don't usually get hungry until maybe around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And this morning, I'll give you a little insight about my morning. My morning was especially crazy. This morning was an opportunity for past Emily to have emotional triggers and to be like, oh my gosh, how are all these pieces of my day going to fit together? My day's pretty jam-packed. And what's happening is now I'm running early in my day. Jessica and I got to meet a few minutes early today because we were both running early. But some of my favorite people on the planet dropped by about 6 hours early today. The beautiful crew of men and women who come and clean my home. I love them so much. I am so thankful for them. But I had live shows all morning long, and I have been balancing kids home and vacuum cleaners going off and trying to remember the knowledge that I wanted to share people about tapping into the Akashic Records all morning. And so for like a slight second, I was like, oh shit, how is today going? And then I'm like, Emily, actually, you get to decide. You get to show up and roll through your day, gaining love from everything around you, because it's all pulsing and radiating love towards you. And you get to choose from what perspective you see your day. How grateful are you that you don't have to clean your house today, that other people are coming to do that for you? Yes. Gives me more time to hang out in the space of my genius here. So that's a long answer to what I have for breakfast. I had a helping of Akashic medicine where I was very grateful for my life, Miss Jessica.
Yes, best kind.
All right, well, it has been just such a beautiful journey for me to get to know you more, to share you with my audience, for me to share some of my story with your audience. I think it's really cool to point out too that old paradigm, if a Jessica and Emily might have met two thought leaders who are doing a lot of the same work, maybe calling it different things, to not fall madly in love and say, let's be friends and support each other. It's so easy to get jealous of people. It's so easy to subconsciously have your buttons pushed. But I really feel like this relationship is a living example of what it means to move from a state of competition into a space of collaboration. Just knowing you for this much of what I've known you in this life, you have opened and expanded so much of me. I'm really grateful for you. And I'm really excited because it's like my soul recognizes your soul. And I look forward to what we will continue to unfold and uplift in each other.
Oh yeah, I fully agree with that, and I think it kind of connects like soulful relationships on a more intimate and deep level. So obviously, like recognizing, and you kind of touch on this a little bit with Akashic Records. It's like in order for you to go there, like it starts with self. And so in order for us to really be able to love each other on a friendship level and in wanting and desiring to connect on that level and not feel competitive or not, I think even women to women, like there can be a lot of like, oh, she's pretty. Oh, there's so much of that. So being able to fully love ourselves and love all parts of us, I think is such a big key in that. But yeah, I mean, I came from a really competitive world. And I think the world of business is very much the traditional way of business, the traditional way of doing and showing up in business is very heavily in wounded masculine. So it's all about like, it's a little cutthroaty at times and it's competitive. And, when you step into a level of consciousness in divine feminine or masculine or both, it truly is like there is enough money and prosperity to go around, especially for you, especially for me. And yeah, it's very much this co-created oneness 5D energy. And anytime someone reflects something like that, it brings me back to this memory of the first couple of years that I owned my brick and mortar fitness business. And I remember my coach at the time, who was very much in wounded masculine, and there's so many beautiful lessons going through that season of life. But it was very much like, I'll give you just one example. We had different group fitness instructors and different personal trainers, and they also wanted to personal train and group instruct at other gyms. And I remember the advice that we were given was like, you can't do that. You can't share. Like, it's like they're with you or nothing. And it's very much that mentality. So yeah, to be able to show up, to be able to love ourselves, to be able to love on each other, and to be able to say like, it's not at all about what we're in it to gain in terms of like, oh, let me get clients. Oh, it's very much just like, let's magnetize our energy together. Let's play, let's have fun. And whatever comes through, comes through.
Well, this has been certainly very fun for me. I know that my audience is going to eat this up today. I would love to give a gift to your audience before we go. Is that okay?
Yes, please, please.
So these sacred Akashic scrolls and rewriting the codes from the tree of knowledge, I have put into a manifesto, a PDF document that you can print. It's going to share with you how to use it. And at the end of this guide is a tool that I developed for my Akashic Records students that was kept just inside the lineage of my students for a long time. And then I began to realize, no, this is really powerful. And I want to share this, one, incredibly powerful worksheet with the planet, and it is a guide, a helpful question guide, because in the space of the Akashic Records, since it works like Google, and you can type anything into Google, but the more specific you get, the more specific information you get. The records works the same way. You want to ask very specific questions. The records will only give you what you are ready to receive in terms of knowledge, and this is how you show that you're ready to receive it, is you ask the damn question. But how we ask the question can take on many, many different forms, and you will find in this helpful question guide, depending on what area of your life is needing transformation, you will find a list of questions that will help you phrase the frequency of what you're asking in the right way, so that you are taking responsibility for what you've created. You are inviting a higher level of intelligence forward so that you can grow and expand, which can be a little wordsmithy and tricky to do, so I've done it for you. But the question is so important, because within the vibrational frequency of the question, the answer is naturally there. It's the balance, it's the yin and the yang. So if you can ask the question, you are naturally inviting forward the solution or the answer to that question, if you can ask the right question. And this guide will be a profound tool, like print it out and laminate it, people. Because this will allow you the secret key code, the Morse code, to ask in the space of your records that will reveal the knowledge and the healing that you're looking for.
Beautiful. So that's going to be below.
Yes.
And I also have a beautiful gift to share with your people. And I'm feeling actually called to share what's called the grind audit. So like forever and ever, like I came from the grind mentality, right? Wounded masculine, traditional way of doing business, hustle, struggle, like it's in like the 10X land.
Yes.
So yeah, it's like, oh. So I forever wanted to come up with this way, like how do we test, how do we know what part of us is still in the grind? To be able to have almost this algorithm to be like, okay, I'm 80% in the grinds, or I'm only 20% in the grinds, based on, I believe it's 8 short questions. So it's also like a 1-pager, super simple. And you're able to connect where you are in terms of grind, which means low frequency, which means out of alignment, which means I'm working too hard to have what I want come in. And then where are you on the glory path? Which of course is full alignment, freedom, joy, love, playfulness. And so you're able to have this like algorithm test, and then with the data, with the score, you know, okay, here's where I'm at, here's what to do, here's how to upgrade my frequency and get more into the glory.
I love that yours have questions too.
Which, by the way, like none of this is planned, and there's so many synchronicities, and this is like what it feels like to play in the land of alignment.
Totally agreed. Questions truly measure our consciousness. James Redfield, who wrote the Celestine Prophecy, says your questions can be measured, or I'm sorry, your state of consciousness can be measured by the questions that you ask. Questions are gateways into higher dimensions, and you're getting like 2 masterful questionnaire guides today that are going to help you break through into a higher awareness and full embodiment of who you are.
Yes, totally. And so with that, I feel like we kind of tie our time together in a bow. And I absolutely love sharing this time with you, especially, but also being able to share it in our sacred spaces and give a behind the scenes of what it looks like to create conscious and soulful friendship. And yeah, I so appreciate you, sister. Truly.
I appreciate you too. This has been a beautiful day. Thank you all for joining us live in the moment as these new paradigms are developing again. You're witnessing conscious friendship. You're witnessing what it means to share knowledge, what it means to share experience, what it means to up-level each other. And I hope that you not only have enjoyed your time today, but you take this upgrade and take it into your life with your personal relationships, with your business, with your spiritual practice, so that you can show up, have fun in a state of ease, and get the most out of this human incarnation, because it's really, really good, you guys. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day.
So that was amazing.